This 26 Sports and CCTV high school football presentation is brought to you by Wolverine Power Cooperative and Great Lakes Energy. Your local electric cooperative is looking out for you. And by Munson Healthcare Cadillac Rehab Services.
Welcome back to McBain High School for the 26 Sports and CCTV Michigan High School Football Game of the Week as the McBain Ramblers hold a 2-point advantage over the Pine River Bucks. I'm Derek Tate alongside Dan Gussert. We're having third quarter action coming at you here in just a couple moments, but to kind of catch you up on the action, if you're just now joining us, it was a George Brown III to Dan Rodenbaugh 6-yard touchdown pass, and then a subsequent connection on the 2-point conversion. Then Brown with a 16-yard touchdown run made it 14-0 Ramblers. But then it was Brock Nelson with a 60-yard touchdown run, followed up by a Rogan Nelson 35-yard touchdown run. They missed both extra points, and that's how we've arrived at 14-12. Now it's going to be the Ramblers that start with the football. What do you expect to see on the offensive side of the football for the Ramblers on their first possession?
Well, you know, a little bit of mix of what we've seen, I think, in the first half. They like to go with that tight formation and run some power football. And, you know, Pine River's done some nice job. We were talking just kind of splitting some of those sweep blockers, and then McBain will spread the field and get the ball out there. They've been successful with both things.
And Omar Aguilar gets us started as that's Caden McGillis who receives it at the 5-yard line. And McGillis cuts it upfield, and he's going to be dropped just shy of the 30-yard line. That's going to be a 25-yard return. They will bring him all the way to the 30, and that's where the first possession for McBain will be to begin the second half.
You know, to start the game, Pine River got the ball and fumbled on the very first offensive play, and pretty much the rest of that first quarter, it was all in the Pine River zone. McBain unable to capitalize during that quarter, but that second quarter sure was fun to watch for both teams offensively.
And it's Deacon Dottie who starts the second half under center for the Ramblers, and he gives it to the normal quarterback, George Brown III. Gain of 3 yards, but it's interesting to see Deacon Dottie getting some snaps in such an important game here in the Highland Conference.
Well, it gives McBain also that threat and the power running of George Brown III out there too. So.
We've seen a lot of the T formation tonight for McBain here on 2nd and 7. And there's the counter to Gavin Seelan, and Seelan slips a tackle. He's got the first down and a couple more. That's a gain of 9, and that'll move the sticks for the Ramblers.
Yeah, now, you know, we were commenting early on in the game a few times about the Bucks and some sound tackling fundamentals, but not on that one. There was a good wrap in there, but no arm wrap on that. He extended the play for another 5 yards.
It's going to be a 1st and 10 for McBain at the 42-yard line. They're staying in the T formation to start this first possession of the second half. Dottie with the give to George Brown III. Nothing doing this time. Number 56, Creed Watson on the stop.
Nice tackle right there. You know, Pine River a little short-handed. We mentioned early, leading receiver Marcus Jurek not out there. He's actually up in the press box just to my right, hanging out with the assistant coaches, doing his job tonight, which is now to help coach. Good to see him up here. Hopefully he's healed and back on the field for the Bucks soon.
Gain of 1 brings up 2nd and 9 for the Ramblers. And there's a give up the middle. That looks like it's Rodenbaugh. And Rodenbaugh is going to be rode back into his own backfield after gaining about a half a yard. And this Bucks defense standing strong in the middle to start the third quarter.
We have a late flag down right there, well after the play. It was probably going to mean it's a personal foul call. Maybe something was said. We'll have to wait and see.
I mean, to be honest with you, we haven't seen many personal foul penalties or tempers flare between two teams that have played each other. This is now the 50th time. It's unsportsmanlike conduct on Pine River. That is going to result in an automatic first down, and that's actually costly for the Bucks.
I think he signaled after that, Derek, 1 up for each player, which is probably the right thing to do right there. You know, we'll give them each their penalty. Just kind of say, hey, settle down here, boys.
Well, they're going to call it a dead ball foul, so it's not offsetting penalties. It took place after the play was already concluded. So the play stands. 3rd and 9 on the horizon here for the Ramblers. And it's George Brown III back under center. He's going to go to the air, and that one way off the mark, intended for Gavin Seelan in coverage. And we've seen a lot of Lane Rupert in that defensive backfield, and we've got a 4th and 9 up and coming.
I'm not sure if somebody ran the wrong route or, George was off on that throw, but it was not near target on that one. Something looked awry there.
Now, we did see this earlier where they lined up in a normal formation, did McBain, and it was George Brown III who punted out of this formation.
Yeah. And he slips back.
And there's the one-step punt, and there's no one home for Pine River, so this is going to take a McBain bounce and die at the 14-yard line where it is down by Rodenbaugh. But the Bucs defense gets a stop to start the third quarter.
You got to respect George Brown back there as a passing quarterback, and, that's just a smart play on the McBain team right there. Gives Pine River no chance to make a return, and, George's got a good foot.
We saw on a couple of occasions in the first half, after fumbling their first play of the game, did Pine River, we saw their subsequent 2 possessions start inside their own 10-yard line after their defense forced a turnover on downs. But they've got so-so field position deep in their own territory. Here's a 1st and 10 for Rogan Nelson at the 14-yard line, working out of the pistol.
Wide splits on this one by the offensive line here for the Bucs.
And it's going to be Nelson on the quarterback keeper around the right edge. He's able to sidestep one would-be tackler and finally dropped shy of the 25-yard line. Gain of 9 to start the drive for the Bucs.
Nice lead block out there by number 52, Hunter Varney, for Pine River on that.
And Hunter Varney, the sophomore, leading the way around the right edge. We've seen a little bit of a 2-man game on the speed option with Brock and Rogan Nelson. 2nd and 1. Brock on the carry. He's wrapped up and dropped immediately by Brant Bonico.
I think he got the first down on that. Looks like the chains are moving now.
That it does. Gain of, he needed 1. He got 1.5, and that'll move the sticks.
Nice night here. Temperature right around 40, 43 degrees. Little or no wind. Perfect night for football.
Well, you say that you're from up here. I'm from Florida. A little bit chilly for my liking, but tell you what, it is a beautiful night for the players on the field. It is comfortable weather. 1st and 10 at the 30-yard line. Check that, 26-yard line. And it's going to be Rogan Nelson on the quarterback keeper around the left side, and that one blown up by the Ramblers defense.
I was pretty fortunate growing up in the Western UP. I played for a powerhouse high school football team and Crystal Falls Forest Park, and there were a few years, my years of high school, where we got out of class a little bit during the day, us football players, to go shovel out the field just so we could practice.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Snow is not something Florida football teams are accustomed to at any point, much less even in October. No gain, 2nd and 10 for the Bucs. And that's going to be Nelson on the keeper yet again. And the Ramblers defense up to the challenge. That's Austin Ealing knifing through for the stop.
Yeah, Lucas Skolton on that one also.
This Ramblers defense, if they've been able to slow down either Brock or Rogan Nelson, it's been tough sledding otherwise for the Bucs offense.
We haven't seen a lot of Lane Rupert on the offensive end here. The Bucs haven't looked for him. And I think also you see a lot of real good coverage by McBain.
They may have to go to the air to try to convert here. 3rd and 7 for the Bucs. Kaufman in motion. And there's a lot of movement along that line of scrimmage. And hanging their head, looks like number 17, Trevor Bodie. And it is going to be encroachment on the Ramblers. And the hard count got him from the quarterback.
That makes 3rd down a lot more manageable here for Pine River.
Goes from 3rd and 8 to 3rd and a long 3. We've seen Rogan Nelson, the sophomore quarterback, do a lot of his damage with his legs. And we'll see if Coach Martin's going to go to the ground. Kaufman in motion. Option left. And it's Brock Nelson who gets the call. fighting for extra yardage. He's going to fight past the 35-yard line, and that's going to be really close to the sticks.
A lot of heart on that run right there. Brock looked like he was going to be short. He still might be, but they've given it to him as a first down. Just hard-nosed running right there.
And they decide to go ahead and move the chains.
Hey, Derek, how about we thank our folks behind the scene here. We got Hannah Crouch directing the show here tonight, and we've got Cole Cederman on camera, and Damian Brooks, who we just found out will be 18 years old this Sunday. Happy birthday, Damian.
Thanks
for doing that for us tonight.
Absolutely, and here's Brock Nelson. Look at Brock Nelson engaging against multiple Ramblers defenders, dragging them past the 45-yard line, gain of 10, and that'll move the sticks.
And one thing you always look for in a running back at any level is how do they end the play, and most times Brock Nelson is falling forward, not back.
Brock Nelson, the senior running back, he's had himself a fantastic night after the slow first quarter. Here's another 1st and 10 at the 45-yard line for the Bucks. Option left. Nelson's going to keep it himself, and he's into McBain territory, dragged down at the 49-yard line by George Brown III, quarterback tackling quarterback.
That's a nice read right there by Nelson as they were looking to run an option, and he followed or noticed the defender follow the pitch man, Huffman, and he kept it and picked up maybe 7.
It's assignment football. It is a gain of, we're going to call it 6. We got 2nd and 4 at the 49-yard line. Just into McBain territory. 14-12. Bucks trailing by 2. Kaufman in motion. And they're going to blow this one dead prior to the snap, and it's going to be a false start on Pine River.
So I think we saw in the last possession a little bit of a hard count, giving Pine River a second and a shorter possession. And a couple plays later, turnabout fair play. Pine River jumps right there, and what was second and pretty manageable is now 2nd and long.
We had 2 pre-snap penalties so far on this possession for the Bucks. One on the previous possession against the Bucks when the Ramblers had the football. Both teams played pretty clean first half for the most part. A couple calls that could have gone either way in the first half, but we got 2nd and 9 from the 46-yard line for Pine River. Kaufman in motion.
A little low snap on that one.
Nelson on the corner, and he's back into McBain territory. He's got the first down and more. Cut down just inside the 40-yard line, and Rogan Nelson starting to get it going on the ground for Pine River.
You can see why he's such a weapon in running at quarterback right there. His 0 to 60 is pretty quick. He's just off like a lightning bolt back there for the Bucks.
Folks like to measure the 40-yard dash. And a lot of times it's more so the folks that can get 0 to 10 the quickest and start-stop. And the sophomore quarterback showing fancy footwork and has his team with a 1st and 10 in Ramblers territory at the 39-yard line. Nelson, he's going to go to the air, and he connects with Rupert. Rupert sidesteps a tackler and up the right sideline. Finally dragged down just shy of the 20-yard line by Derek Camphouse. That's another first down for Pine River.
That's why you see McBain trying to keep the ball out of Lane Rupert's hands. That move he put on right there, that's just a stop and go. And he picked up another probably 8-10 yards after that, maybe more. Great move on his part.
Both pass completions for Rogan Nelson on the night. Both of them going to Lane Rupert. That one garners a first down at the 21-yard line. Nelson on the quarterback keeper. Now he's going to go ahead and pitch it. And that one, Fauble, cut down. Loss of 3. Gavin Seelan, the senior captain.
McBain on that possession had a little bit of a blitz set up there as Trevor Bodie came from the wide end position and really kind of just broke that play up. He did not get involved in the tackle, but he sure sent everything else wrong for the Bucks on that one. Nice call.
When you're defending the triple option, a lot of times it's just about doing your assignment. And that time, the Bucks got strung out. 2nd and 11 from the 22-yard line. Nelson gives to Brock Nelson straight ahead, and he's going to be brought down right at the 20-yard line. A bunch of Rambler defenders in the area, but leading the charge is Lucas Skolton, and that's going to bring up 3rd and long.
Nice possession right here for Pine River as they started way back about their 15-yard line, if I remember right here, Derek, and they've moved ball down the field quite well here. Certainly they'll be in 4-down territory, and you can't forget about Aguilar back there with that foot.
Yeah, Aguilar's he's got some range on that leg, and they're already kind of flirting with field goal range, but they've got a 3rd and 9 at the 20-yard line. Kaufman in motion, Nelson on the keeper. Nelson slips a tackle, and he's going to go into the end zone. Touchdown, Pine River.
Brock Nelson with a 22-yard run, or is that Rogan? That's Rogan, isn't it?
That was Rogan Nelson, his 2nd touchdown run of the night. This one officially from the 20-yard line. He's got scores of 20 and 35, and Pine River has their first lead. What a bit of running by the sophomore.
Looks like the Bucks are going to go for the 2-point conversion attempt here.
So far, the Bucks 0 for 2 on extra point attempts. Here's Nelson working out of the pistol. Bobbles the snap, and that one intercepted.
Can't run her back in high school.
Can't run her back in high school. That one intercepted by Lucas Skolton. So the extra point for the 3rd time tonight for Pine River is no good, but they take their first lead of the game with 2:20 remaining in the 3rd quarter. They're on top of the McBain Ramblers, 18-14.
Wow, that's a heck of a drive right there by the Pine River offense. You can't draw up something better than that. Usually when you're pinned back like that, you're kind of hoping to get a 1st down or 2 and maybe change field position, and they just methodically move the ball down the field against that Rambler defense.
Really was Rogan Nelson. Rogan Nelson taking control and multiple scampers to really stretch out this Ramblers defense. He's been a problem for the McBain defense.
And just a little bit of Lane Rupert out there on the side and a nice run, and you saw some hard running early on in that possession by Brock Nelson. Yeah, breaking a few tackles at 3rd down, and just enough that he extended the play and ended up falling forward to get a 1st down early in that possession.
Pine River scrapping their way back into this one after trailing 14-0 early in the 2nd quarter. They've taken their first lead with just a couple minutes remaining. Aguilar kicking off. And there's a little bit of miscommunication, and Caden McGillis gathers it at the 13-yard line. And he's going to do what he can, but good coverage from the Bucks coverage unit.
You know, and you're seeing, again, some really good coaching things going on. Pine River early in this game kicked maybe a little short and seemed to kick a little bit to the far side of the field. Aguilar just changing how he's kicked. I'm sure that's, coach's direction. That one he just put his foot into and sent it up in the air as high as he could.
Little cat and mouse between these two coaches. Coach Martin of the Bucks and Coach Maloney of the Ramblers, and George Brown III's back under center for McBain. 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line, and there's going to be a flag and a false start. Not the way you want to start this possession if you're the Ramblers. Didn't quite catch
back
who that
up
was
5
against.
right there. So our sponsors tonight, Derek, we've got presenting sponsor Munson Healthcare, Cadillac Hospital, Wolverine Power Cooperative, and Great Lakes Energy, and we'll rattle off a few more after each play here, this possession.
Got a lot of people to thank. And here's a 1st and 15. Brown rolling right. He's got a man wide open in the flat. That's Caden McGillis. He's past the 30, catches a block, cuts it back at the 45-yard line, and into Bucks territory is Caden McGillis.
Slipped out the backfield, I think, out of that possession. Wide open, Huffman not able to bring him down. He ended up shifting by a few other Buck defenders there, and nice play.
Gain of 37 for Caden McGillis on his first reception of the night. And McBain's in business in Pine River territory.
Pizza Plus of Cadillac, one of our sponsors tonight, along with Cadillac Tire Center and Travelers Bar and Grill.
We got 1st and 10, and that's going to be George Brown III on the keeper. And he's got the left edge and puts his shoulder down, finally cut down right around the 35-yard line. If the play stands, that's a gain of 13, and he'll move the sticks.
I don't see any flags. I hear Pine River coaching staff up here thought maybe they saw a block in the back. Hey, Rondee's Tavern and Grocery, want to thank you also for sponsoring tonight. McBain Building Products, big shout out to them. Bowman and Rogers in Lake City, another thank you for them. And Lake City Family Pharmacy and as well McBain Family Pharmacy.
1st and 10, here's Brown rolling right, and he's in trouble, and he's going to be sacked for the first time tonight. On the sack, number 24, Andrew Stevens, the junior linebacker.
And our last group of sponsors here, we've got Fox Motors of Cadillac, LC Materials, Doug Glass of Cadillac, Builder's First Source in Cadillac, Tasty Treat in Lake City, and Best Demolition. Thank you. Oh, I almost missed Pancho Villa Mexican Grill in Lake City. Thank you all to all those sponsors.
Absolutely allows us to bring you the high school football game of the week. Here's 2nd and 10. Brown. He's going to go for it all. He's got Gavin Seelan. It's brought in. Touchdown, Ramblers. What a throw. George Brown III finds Gavin Seelan, and he seals the deal in the end zone, and the Ramblers retake the lead.
43-yard pass from Brown to Sealand. Big strike right there by the McBain offense. And back and forth we go, a lot like the second quarter here, Derek.
What a connection. George Brown III. He dropped that one right in the bucket. And now 20-18, McBain on top, and they're going for 2. Brown. That one batted down, intended for Josh Hart. That one batted down by number 76, Zach Lemon. So this stays a 2-point game, but the lead of the Bucks was short-lived. A 43-yard connection. Brown to Seelan, and it's the Ramblers back on top, 20-18.
Yeah, just under a minute to go in the quarter here, and just over a minute from when Pine River put one on the board. So pretty quick reply right there, response by the Ramblers tonight.
Back and forth we go. Second touchdown pass of the night for George Brown III. His first one went to Rodenbaugh. And we've had 2 rushing touchdowns tonight from Rogan Nelson of 35 yards and 20 yards.
Yeah, George Brown with George Brown III, 2 solid touchdown passes. The first one, like you said, to Rodenbaugh, I think was about, maybe 16, 18 yards. This one for 40-some.
That first one, too, I mean, it was a little off the mark. It was actually a great catch by Rodenbaugh, but that one, picture perfect.
Laid that out there perfectly.
And it's Bonico to kick off for the Ramblers. 49 seconds remaining in the third quarter. In this Highland Conference matchup, you can feel it. The energy coming through. It's a short kick, angled towards the left sideline. And it is fielded by Rogan Nelson, but he loses his footing right around the 27-yard line, and that's where the third possession of the Bucks will start as they try to retake the lead here at McBain High School.
Yeah, I don't think he was going to go a whole lot farther than that anyway. McBain with a sideline kick right there, kind of pinning Pine River to one side of the field for sure. Just kind of trying to keep the Bucks and their skill players back there under tap.
We'll see what Coach Martin can dial up for his offense that has found its rhythm. Nelson working out of the pistol on 1st and 10 at the 27. Kaufman in motion. And it's going to be Rogan Nelson on the keeper, and he's going nowhere. Ethan Barton, the outside linebacker, drops him for a loss.
Yeah, I think that's the first time tonight I thought maybe Rogan read that wrong. I think he should have cut that inside. He probably would have picked up 5-6 yards.
And that's a loss of 6 yards, bringing up 2nd and 16 from the 21-yard line. And we may have one more play for Pine River to conclude before we conclude the third quarter. Both teams trying to pick up that ever so important win in the Highland Conference. And we're going to have one more play. Nelson working out of the pistol on 2nd and 16. He's going to go back to pass. He's going right down the sideline. And that one off the mark, intended for Lane Rupert, and that'll be the final play of the third quarter here at McBain High School in the 26 Sports and CCTV Michigan High School Football Game of the Week. We got a thriller as the Pine River Bucks trail the McBain Ramblers 20-18. Who will come out on top? Stay with us for fourth quarter action.